Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
It is time for our guy Mike McFeely to join us at 9:37, appropriately enough. And
I'm getting bumped by Emmett Kenny, by the way.
you're getting bumped. You're on right now.
I'm 2 minutes late.
Well-
So the kid makes one field goal to win a major college football game, and all of a sudden he's cutting into my time on Hot Mike.
You also hear what time he got back at like 5 o'clock in the morning from
He's young.
going.
I was up until 5 o'clock this morning in the
Yeah.
bottom of a bottle of gin after all of the Mountain West stuff
Following
last
yesterday.
Like what? It's like, hey, there's a chance
yes,
here.
Yes.
No, there's not
No,
a chance.
yeah,
There's a chance.
yes.
No, there's not a chance. The Mountain West might disappear.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm just
Emotional mayhem
Yeah.
over the last 18 hours.
I don't do drugs. I've never done a drug in my life. Not even so much as smoke marijuana, but I'm about to start. If this conference realignment stuff
Keep
is
going, man.
I'm just going to medicate myself to oblivion here with all this stuff going on.
We got some emails waiting for you, Michael. You ready to rock and roll? Here's one comes in. Dom and Mike, I understand we just want to be at the dance, and if we're just talking football, that would be great. But is money there, or can it be raised? Take a flight to Hawaii for 16 or however many NDSU teams that they have. Also, if a move would be made, who does it hurt? The Missouri Valley Conference or the Summit League more? Mountain West Conference basketball championship game in Vegas would be awesome. Not disagreeing with that. That would be
Yes.
awesome, that last part.
I
lot there.
have been led to believe that about a $42 million athletic budget at North Dakota State, which is what they would need to do minimum to be in the Mountain West, depending, by the way, on who's in the Mountain West, because
No idea.
no clue.
Nope.
But if it was to come to that, I've been told that that's doable.
Okay. Okay.
So to answer the first question, it would be difficult. It would not be easy. I've been told it would be doable.
Yeah.
And we both know that if a phone call came, the way it's always been defined to me is that, and this is from the highest offices in North Dakota State, if a phone call came from the Mountain West, that's a call NDSU would have to take. Doesn't mean they would accept it because they have to, make sure it's going to work.
Right.
But it's a phone call that they'd pick up the phone and say, hello, yes, let's talk.
Yep.
I don't know that there's ever been any indication that's
Yeah.
ever happened. I don't believe it has, but and again, we're getting way cart ahead of the horse here, but I mean, NDSU's been doing this long enough now that I would hope that if a phone call did come, and I don't think it's going to come, let's make that clear. But if it did come, I would hope that they'd be ready to say yes or no within like 3 hours.
Right. You
I
can't say, well, give us a week.
Give us a week to think about it.
It doesn't work like that.
I mean,
you can't do
it's.
that.
I would hope that they would be in a position, and who knows? I mean, maybe they have. We know that North Dakota State has a number of very deep-pocketed donors, right? There's a football practice facility standing in North Fargo that was financed
privately.
Privately, but also in large part by like one guy who wrote a check for $15 million.
Correct.
We know that there are people who have helped greatly with the Alston payments.
Yep.
So there's
money out there.
There's money out there, and there's big donors out there that are willing to write big checks.
Yes.
So what I would hope has happened, and again, I have no indication that it has, is that the powers that be at North Dakota State have gone to a half a dozen major donors and said, if this phone call comes, we have to answer now. Are you on board?
Can we count on you? Yeah.
Can we count on you? And I hope those people said, and it ain't my money, so please spend it. I hope those people said, yes,
absolutely,
we're in.
Yeah.
And again, I have no indication that that's happened, but it's doable.
Another email, Dom and Mike, with the changes happening the past week, the Pac-12 is now like a super upgraded Mountain West Conference. However, they're still getting schools
Is it
to say
upgraded?
no. Well, that's a good question.
I mean,
however, they're still getting schools to say no to their invites, Memphis, and there is a substantial exit fee for the remaining Mountain West teams to leave and join the Pac-12. Any chance the Pac-12 considers North Dakota State?
no.
Yeah.
No. there's a greater chance of the Mountain West
going
dissolving
away. Yeah.
And then that would then allow the teams to not have to pay the fees
Right.
to get out. So that
We were talking about that off the top of the
and
show.
I wrote a column yesterday and updated it at about 6 o'clock last night. And like by 8 o'clock, I'm at bowling last night at Sunset going, well, the 700 words I just wrote are completely obsolete and irrelevant. But it's already published, so it is what it is.
Right.
But, I mean, the Mountain West was working late last night into getting commitments from
keeping UNLV and Air Force.
But the reporting this morning from Ross Dellinger and Chris Vanini at The Athletic, Dellinger is at Yahoo Sports, I believe, is that there is a possibility that the Mountain West now might just dissolve.
Go away. Yeah.
Because, and it's all, it's very complicated.
Yep.
But so the Mountain West yesterday thought it had everybody, the 8 remaining members, the conference thought it had all 8
locked
on board, locked in, because Air Force and UNLV, the 2 most attractive members to go elsewhere, said, nope, we're staying.
Yep.
After they said that, though, Utah State.
Yeah.
Let me say that again.
Yeah.
Utah State?
Yeah. Right.
I'll read whatever's on the teleprompter. Utah State?
Yeah, right.
Decided, no, they're going to go to the Pac-12. So then that negated the commitments that Air Force and UNLV gave, because they gave the commitment under the assumption it was going to be all 8 teams sticking together.
Right.
So now UNLV and Air Force are checking their options for where they could go. And UNLV is an attractive.
Absolutely.
Right now, they have a really good football team.
Yeah.
They're the leader in getting that G5 spot in the college football playoffs. But it's Las Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Right. And so it's a major market. So they're going to be, I mean, they might end up in the Big 12 for all we know, because it's Vegas.
Right.
And Air Force has been attractive to the AAC. And I think actually got an invite, or was at least talked to the AAC.
It was leading through that, yep.
And then the Air Force said, no, we're going to stay.
Yeah.
But now, who knows?
Because Army and Navy are in the AAC.
You and I both have sources that have told us that they thought that, this is people inside college football currently that thought that Air Force was going to go to the AAC because they would then be paired with Army and Navy. And so they have the 3 service academies in the state, which makes sense and is great.
Yep.
But so what was the question?
Yeah, there was. There was. Yeah, about the NDSU and the Pac-12.
Yeah, no,
there's no chance
that's not
of
happening.
that.
Nope.
This other note from Nicole Auerbach, who works for NBC Sports. One other note as we think about potential teams that could be used to backfill spots vacated in the Mountain West, etc. There are concerns that elevating FCS programs would affect Group of 5 college football playoff revenue by splitting it more ways and be viewed upon negatively by the Power 4 folks.
Yes.
That has to be acknowledged in this all.
And
as well.
that's been out there for a while. At least the last couple of days, I've read it other places that.
But it's forgotten in all this
that
mix
the
up
Power
too, though.
4 guys, because apparently getting like, $250,000 less out of a pot of, $4 trillion is.
We got a fund going Stanford to Syracuse. We got to, we got to fund that.
So I've read that for a couple of days. That's another hurdle for North Dakota State, which again, we don't even know if. We don't know we don't think there's even been a discussion, we just don't think it's even a thing, other than Dom and I talking about it every day. But yes, that's something that has to be taken into consideration, is elevating FC. And part of the problem there is that the stink bombs like Kennesaw State and frankly Missouri State,
Jacksonville State,
getting moved up, pissed off the Power 4s, frankly, because they're going, well, you got Kennesaw State and Missouri State are now FBS programs and Sam Houston.
Yep.
And so it's their fault.
I agree. This last email I want to read, and then I want to break, and we'll actually chat about stuff on the field. If NDSU does not go FBS, President Cook and AD Matt Larson are driving the proverbial dagger into the heart of Bison Nation and the football program. Every single athletic program has regressed under Matt Larson.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's a lot of buildings up there. And
yes, there is.
I don't. One of them for sure is his doing. The other, the shack was Gene Taylor's doing. But I don't know that every program has regressed.
Women's basketball is not regret. They're actually now on the upward swing.
But you could make the argument that it's been there's been a dearth of, if you look at some of the other Olympic sports, hasn't been great in all of them. Volleyball,
soccer,
softball, soccer.
Nope.
I mean, just not
Nope.
good. And by the way, it really isn't up to, again, it's not up to them to make the move or not. What we could talk about is what we've talked about a lot is
we have done that.
Is are they ready? Have they let their intentions be known enough, strongly enough? There are questions about whether that they have done that. Again, it's been the way it's been phrased to me was the people who need to know. No.
Yep.
We've told the people who need to know, and they know. Yep. But I mean, Utah State openly was campaigning for a spot in the Pac-12. Openly campaign, and they
guess
got
what?
it.
They got it.
Right.
Sac State right now is saying, "Come get us."
Right. And I don't know if that's going to help them, but they're.
We'll raise all this money. We're going to build new things. Come take us.
So I.
Amazing.
But again, it's we're in the middle of nowhere here. Sac State's in a very advantageous position.
California.
Utah State is already in an FBS league.
That one still puzzles me though. Utah State is not It's not in Salt Lake.
No,
it's in Logan, Utah.
Logan, Utah is a pretty small market.
That's the linchpin of the West of
which
college
again
football, apparently.
is we keep hearing that it's all about television eyeballs, but Logan, Utah.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe there's so many metrics. You would know this more than I would, but. I mean, maybe the numbers for Utah State specifically on television are really good.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, I would look at North Dakota State and say, well, they ain't bad for a state this size. I mean, you have access to those numbers. I've seen. It's like, well, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yep.
How
about, can we talk some stuff on the field? Can we do that?
I guess. I don't know.
It's as interesting sometimes as the Bison get ready for Missouri Valley play. We'll do that when we take a break here. Back with Mike McFeely as we wrap up hour one on a Tuesday morning. Hot Mike rolls on. We're back after this. Final segment of this first hour. Back with Mike McFeely. Got a couple more emails. Can I read these here for you?
It's your show.
Here. I know.
Do whatever you want.
Twins gonna make the playoffs?
No.
That was one of them I got here. Dom and Mike, any chance the Mountain West comes for the 2 Montana schools and the 4 Dakota schools and making an Eastern Division?
That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen there either.
I mean, for what it's worth, I have talked to a bunch of, I think it got over the past several years, I've probably talked to 3 or 4 group of 5 commissioners who shall remain unnamed. But I can tell you that the words University of North Dakota and University of South Dakota have just never come up.
Yep.
And I've talked to others, and they have told me the same thing, that when, again, and it matters not because if none of them go, but the 2 schools in the Dakotas that always come up, of course, are South Dakota State and North Dakota State, and then the 2 Montana schools always come up.
Yep.
And the other 2, whether it's fair, whether it makes sense,
just don't.
It just doesn't come up.
Nope. Yeah, we're constantly surprised as we've done this now for 5 years on some of the, like Utah State now coming up and being important. Like we heard Texas San Antonio and Texas State, like they may not be great on the field, but that is irrelevant. It is location that we have found out over the last 5 years.
But this Logan thing,
right?
That doesn't make any sense either.
That spits in the face.
That spits in the face of that. So and Sam Houston spits in the face of that, Springfield, Missouri, and Kennesaw's in Georgia, but Jacksonville State, Anniston, or Jacksonville or Anniston, Alabama is nothing. It's a tiny town in the middle of Alabama, and so I don't buy that either. It's geography maybe overall, but it's not necessarily market size or television eyes.
It's geography when they can make the argument work for them.
Yes, yeah, right,
basically, right.
But the Mountain West again, and the Pac, whatever it is, it's going to be a plain league anyway. Nobody drives
right.
Sources have told me that nobody drives to Hawaii. So
what are the
sources have told me that nobody drives from Fresno to Logan, Utah.
Yeah, right. What do those schools do now? I know it's impossible to predict, and so you have the caveat that in 5 minutes later it could be
I
completely
have
wrong.
a column running today that says that NDSU this is their best chance ever. So what are you asking me for?
But for Wyoming, Nevada, New Mexico, Hawaii, what do they do here?
I don't know what the play is. I've read Dellinger's stuff today, and the dissolution part of the Mountain West seems to be like the next.
It really sounds,
but the play is apparently to dissolve the conference. Then they all get absorbed into the Pac-12. So then it's the Pac-10 or whatever it would be, I guess.
yeah.
Or Pac-11 or whatever it would
they'd be up to 11 if they had
it
those
would be
schools.
the Pac-11.
And it would just be the Mountain West all over again.
Right. And it would be, it was phrased one way that I saw this morning, like it's currently, they're just moving around chairs, and it's like $150 million moving of chairs. When all they had to do, all that Washington State and Oregon State had to do was just say, come under the Pac-12 banner because it's a better brand.
We thought that was
and we have all kinds of money left over from the other schools leaving, so we'll just be the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Why don't we do that?
But instead, they're going through all these machinations, and they're shuffling the chairs around, and it's going to end up being
maybe the same anyway.
It's going to be the Mountain West A and the Mountain West B. It's just insanity.
Oh boy.
And North Dakota State's left out again.
Yep. Bison defense.
Can't wait for that Murray State game.
Yeah, I know. Bison defense has some issues, Michael. 2 games in a row here.
It would appear so.
After allowing over 200 rushing yards. Now we're into conference play. Teams that know the Bison better than anybody.
Yeah.
What do we make of this here?
Great stat yesterday. Great nugget from Sam Niederman on Bison 1660. I heard it. I'm not going to get this exactly right because I don't. But in the last 21 games.
Oh, I heard this stat. Yes.
Last 21 games, NDSU has allowed more than 200 yards rushing 7 times in the last 21 games. I went back and looked. Like in the previous 85 games, like going back to the end of the 2016 season, something like that, they allowed 200 yards like 4 times.
Yep.
Those aren't exact numbers. I'm going to work on this more today, and I'll credit Sam because he came up with it in the first place. But I mean, and we've seen it, right? I mean, we've seen that the last couple of years. Like when Central Arkansas last year with Shunderick Powell, you kind of went, whoa, okay, that was.
We certainly saw it with UND.
And UND just mashed them up front.
The Jackrabbits, we knew. I mean, the Jackrabbits are the best team. But this play here, the game it's 31-17, and then Green goes for 72 yards. He's untouched.
But the interesting thing is that 2 coaches in a row now, Trey Lamb at East Tennessee State and
Pete Shinnick.
Pete Shinnick from Towson have both made references to I'm not going to get this exactly right wording, but I'm paraphrasing. Like, we're trying to get our running backs into the second level because we think that our athletes are, better or equal to their athletes, and they just have to beat those guys. And so that would be a reference to they want to find a way to get the running backs into the linebackers and safeties because they don't think the linebackers and safeties at NDSU can make the plays. And that highlight
evidence
there would be evidence of that. And that's what, because I asked Trey Lamb specifically, what, how are you able? He said, well, NDSU's defensive line just goes, full speed. They're trying to tee off on the quarterback on every play. And so we thought if we could take advantage of that and then get our running back into the next level and he kindly said, we thought our athletes were just as good as theirs.
Yeah.
What he meant was our athletes are better than theirs, and they weren't going to be able to tackle our running backs, and that turned out to be true as well. But there's clearly a playbook now on this North Dakota State team how to run the ball, and you're right. I mean,
imagine if Illinois State had its top guy. Mason King is out for the season with an ACL.
And they're missing their top offentive linemen out for the year as well.
Correct. I mean, that not be a good scenario. It might not be good anyway.
Might not be good anyway.
But it's not. That would not be a good deal going in.
And frankly, I'll say this, is that neither East Tennessee State's quarterback nor Towson's quarterback was a particularly great thrower.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start getting into the Valley play now where this Rittenhouse kid can probably throw a little bit.
Yep.
We know that Gronowski can throw really well.
Yep.
And so, UND still has some questions at whether they can push the ball downfield.
Aiden Bauman can move the ball.
Aiden Bauman can throw the ball. And so there's guys out there that can throw it in the Valley, and these kids really weren't great at passing. And so then that opens up another wrinkle.
It's going to be fun to watch. Thanks for coming by,
These
bud.
next 4 games, and you've talked about this yesterday, these next 4 games are what's going to define
Really
NDSU's
is.
season.
Really will.
If they go 3-1, they're fine then.
Yep.
And you go, okay, and especially if that loss comes to the Jacks, which nobody wants in Fargo, but you know what? If you win at Illinois State, you beat UND at home,
win at SIU,
and you win at SIU,
that's pretty good.
then you'll take the loss against South Dakota State because then it's your 3-1.
But if you get tripped up maybe this weekend,
if you go 2-2 in these games or 1-3 in these games,
then look
or
out.
0-4 in these games.
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen,
No.
but they'll win one of them. Maybe they'll win all 4 of them.
Maybe,
To be positive, if they win all 4 of them, then you're going, wow, they're really good.
Yep. We got to roll.
Yep.
Thanks for coming by. That's all right. Mike McFeely
Somebody's
joined us.
yelling in my ear.
Kyle's upset because you picked against the Twins not to make the playoffs.
But
it's accurate.
It's
accurate. We got to roll. Second hour on tap on this Tuesday morning. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this.